Mexico. My name is Cass, and I work for the Field Institute of Taos, which is a non-profit outdoor education and recreation program that's based up here in Taos County. And we serve mostly Taos County residents, although sometimes we have friends come from Wisconsin or other parts of the state. Today, I want to show you a little bit of the Field Institute of Taos and our base camp, which is where I am now, and teach you one of my favorite ways to track the weather that requires nothing but a piece of paper and a little observation. This is our base camp. We have a lot of beautiful gardens, a nice indoor space that we haven't been using this year, a nice outdoor space, and some green grass, which is pretty rare to find in New Mexico. We have an incredible view of the highest peak of our state. That's Mount Wheeler in the background. And some more grass. We even have some vans to go off on some field trip adventures. And this fall, in addition to our normal spring programs that usually include lots of adventures on trails, this fall we've been doing after-school programs right here at the Field Institute Base Camp, where we can play on this nice grass and do experiments and just be outside. Today is an interesting day to be outside at the Field Institute because the mountains are not as crisp as they normally look. The wind is blowing a little bit, and there's a haze in the air from all the wildfires that are happening on the west coast. One project that we're really excited about, especially our timeliness, is our brand new weather station. We installed this one day before an Arctic front came and dropped our temperatures from the upper 60s into below freezing. At my house, not too far from here, we got a couple inches of snow, and here at base camp I think we got a little bit of snow as well. But what was most interesting to record using our new weather station was the wind. We did 2 hours of programming that day, and there was sustained 30 miles an hour wind with 160 mile an hour gust. And we knew that because of this weather station. This anemometer, which is the part that spins when the wind blows, tells us how fast the wind is blowing, and it sends that information down and to a panel inside that gives us a weather reading. Now, if we didn't have that, you can still measure or estimate what the wind speed is, and that's what I want to teach you about today. Francis Beaufort was a sailor in the Irish Navy. He did a lot of work on helping to invent the telegraph, and then he was put in charge of a ship that was just a storage ship. And he was pretty upset that he didn't get the opportunity to fight battles and use his skills a little bit better. All that he had to do was just man this storage ship. Before Beaufort set sail on his ship, the HSS Woolwich, there had been many people that had tried to classify and organize different classifications of wind. See, it was important to know if you were sailing a ship, if there was a very, very strong wind coming that could toss your ship over, or if it was just a mild wind that could maybe push your ship in the direction you wanted to go, or not the direction you wanted to go. But before Beaufort classified his system, there wasn't an organized way that everybody agreed on. Some people would call something a gale, others would say a strong breeze, and there wasn't really a system for understanding what those things meant. So Beaufort, being bored on his storage ship, decided to change that. He wrote down a list from 1 to 12 of what each observation of the wind could tell him, and now we can relate those observations to knots or miles per hour, which are units of measuring wind speed. Beaufort's scale starts with 0. 0 is basically calm. If you were to light a fire or just a match or a stick of incense, the smoke would rise up in the air vertically. Number 1 on Beaufort's scale is just about a 1 to 3 mile per hour wind speed. It's a very light air that you just might barely feel tickle your skin. Beaufort number 2 is about 4 to 7 miles per hour and what we would call a light breeze. You can feel the wind on your face and the leaves rustling. On the Beaufort scale, number 3 is a gentle breeze. Small twigs would be in constant motion, light flags on a flagpole would start to extend from being kind of crumpled up. 4 on the Beaufort scale is a moderate breeze. Dust picks up from the ground, leaves and loose paper rise up, and small branches move. Number 5 on the Beaufort scale is a fresh breeze. In a fresh breeze, small trees begin to sway. I think what we have here is between a 4 and a 5, which means that the wind is blowing between 13 and 20 miles per hour, probably closer to 12 or 13. A 6 on the Beaufort scale, which is about 25 to 30 miles per hour. This is what you could call a strong breeze, when large branches start to move and you could hear whistling. If you were watching water, because Beaufort was recording this in the ocean, part of his scale has what these different numbers look like on water, from small ripples to large waves. So if you were to look at a 6 on water, you would see large waves starting to form and white foam crests being more extensive everywhere. Moving on to a 7, this is what could be considered a moderate gale. Whole trees would start moving. Resistance would be felt when walking against the wind. This is what I felt last week when our Arctic cold front was coming in. An 8 could be considered a fresh gale, when twigs and small branches get broken off from trees. We lost a lot of branches last week when our cold front came in. I would say that was number 8 on the Beaufort scale, a fresh gale. But number 9 is a strong gale. And when this happens, light structural damage occurs. Sometimes shingles will blow off of rooftops, and things that aren't super secured, like lawn chairs or kiddie pools, will start blowing across the yard if they haven't already. Finally, the most exciting part of the scale, 10 through 12. A number 10 on the Beaufort scale is often known as a whole gale. It's seldom experienced on land. In this case, trees would be broken, structural damage definitely occurs. On the ocean, very high waves occur. The surface of the sea takes a white appearance. Visibility is affected. At an 11, the waves get higher. The sea gets covered with long white patches of foam. If you do experience this on land, widespread damage occurs. A 12 on the Beaufort scale is any wind 73 miles per hour or higher. This is officially hurricane force wind, causing violence or destruction. If you were on the ocean, I hope you have a big boat or you don't get seasick, because the waves get very big, the air is filled with foam and spray, the sea is white with driving spray, visibility is very seriously affected. When I'm hiking with my students, I like to use the Beaufort scale to try to estimate what the wind is. Why is this important? Because if the wind gets to a 5 or a 6, it might be unsafe for us to be walking on certain trails. Something I find fascinating is the history of science and the history of weather observations and science recording. I think it's so cool to think about things like wind speed and what life was like before anyone had ever tried to classify or organize or describe wind speed or clouds or the names of plants and animals. I hope you find this information helpful and something that you can use when you're hiking with your family or just out. Maybe you step out of your car and there's a big breeze and you're able to notice the trees moving in the distance. If you're ever up in Taos, please stop by the Field Institute and say hi. If you're interested in collaborating with us or learning more about our programs, you can go to fitaos.org.